Nana Matharathanatayasa Kayamba Angsom Kambang Anjali Namaskar Jumpu berjumpa ini Patrai Rawat Min Puttaratana Dhammaratana Sangharatana Chia Cách Banta Saksa Pi Pre Abhidhamma Banta Ra Tiếtនៅចំណុចមួយ How Buddha taught Abhidhamma. Let's go to the 7 books of Abhidhamma and the commentaries. Abhidhamma is the best literature. Buddha taught Abhidhamma to gods and not to human beings. In the 7th renunciation after his enlightenment, the Buddha went up to Tavatisa heaven and preached Abhidhamma to the gods there. His mother, who died 7 days after his birth, was born as a deva. As a daddy in another heaven called the Sita heaven. She or he, when believed she was reborn as a male daddy, came down to Tavatisa heaven and listens to the Abhidhamma taught by the Buddha. It is said that the Buddha taught non-stop for 3 whole months. When I say non-stop, I really mean non-stop. Buddha was a human being, so he needed to eat and so on. When it was time for alms round, he created another Buddha by his mental power. He willed that the created Buddha teach Abhidhamma from such and such a place to such and such a place during his absence. Then he went down to human world for alms. At that time, the created Buddha took over. When he went down to the human world, the Venerable Sri Buddha met him there. When Buddha met Sri Buddha, he told him that he had taught a particular portion of Abhidhamma during the interval. That means between their meeting the day before and the present today. When the Buddha said to Sri Buddha was just something like a table of contents. When Sri Buddha heard this, he was able to understand, down to smallest detail, what the Buddha had taught. He was so endowed with analytical knowledge. He understood all that Buddha taught during the interim. When Sri Buddha went back to his place, he taught the Abhidhamma he had learned from the Buddha to 500 monks who were his disciples. Then the Buddha, after spending the day in the human world, went back to Tavatisa heaven in the evening and resumed his teaching. Did the deity know that the Buddha had left and that the created Buddha was preaching at that moment? Some did and some did not. Those who had greater power knew and those who had lesser power did not, because there was no difference between the Buddha and the created Buddha as regarded their race, their voice, their words. Everything was exactly the same. It wasn't exactly replica. Those deities of lesser power did not know. It is said that the Buddha spoke very quickly, during the time, and an ordinary person speaks 1 word. The Buddha could speak 128 words. Buddha spoke really fast. Even a discuss, given upstairs taking a meal at a house could run into the size of one nikaya. Now imagine the Buddha talking in that way for 3 months without stopping, continuously preaching. So the volume of Abhidhamma could be very great. We have 3 versions of Abhidhamma. That taught to the gods, which is very large, and then the second that was taught to the Venerable Sri Buddha like a table of contents. And the third one that the Venerable Sri Buddha taught to his disciples, that is neither too large nor too small. The Venerable Sri Buddha made it suitable for those monks to accept. He did not teach all that he knew. He taught just enough for them. So, there are 3 versions of Abhidhamma. Fortunately, that last version, which is neither too large nor too small, was recorded at the first Buddhist council. That version is what we have as Abhidhamma now. I want to show you the Abhidhamma books. There are 12 books. I added up the pages. The pages are altogether 4,981. There are 7 books of Abhidhamma, but in our edition, there are 12 volumes. Those 4,981 pages contain many ellipses. There are repetitions, or there are some that are not difficult for the reciter to put in, and so they are left out. If everything was printed in full, it could be 10 times greater than what we have here. The Abhidhamma is very vast and very large. The 7 books of Abhidhamma. There are 7 books of Abhidhamma. The first one is Dhammasangani, classifications of Dhammas. That means classifications of Citta, consciousness, Cetasikas, mental factors, and Rupa, matter. The second book is called Vibhanga, that is analysis of Dhammas. The subjects taught in the Dhammasangani are further analyzed. The third one is called Dhadukata, discussion of the Dhamma. It is a discussion of Dhamma taught in the Dhammasangani. The fourth one is called Pokalapanyati, designation of types of beings. This book is not like Abhidhamma. It is like Sutta discourses. Different types of individuals or different types of beings are classified or mentioned. This is one book which is not like Abhidhamma. The next one is Kathavatu, points of controversy. It is also not like Abhidhamma. It is a book of debate. Different opinions current at that time were examined on the basis of debates. It is very different from other books. It is a dialogue between Theravada monks and other monks. The sixth book is called Yamaka, books of pairs. That means there are questions and answers in pairs. There are questions in pairs. There are answers in pair. For example, there are wholesome states. Are all of those wholesome states wholesome roots? Wholesome state and wholesome roots? There are wholesome roots. Are all those wholesome roots wholesome states? It is something like that. And also with regard to aggregates, pairs, and so on, there are questions and answers like that which go in pairs. The seventh book is called Patthana. It is the books of causal relations. There are 24 moods of causal relations. The Patthana is the largest of the 7 books of Abhidhamma, and to us it is the deepest, the most profound book of Abhidhamma. In our books, it is said that the Buddha contemplated on the Abhidhamma in the 4th week after his enlightenment. He did not preach to anyone. He just sat down. He just sat down and contemplated on the Abhidhamma. When he contemplated on the first 6 books, nothing happened. He just contemplated on them. But when he contemplated on the 7th book, the 6 colors, rays were emitted from his body. They came out of his body. We don't have a Buddhist flag here. A Buddhist flag represents these 6 rays: blue, yellow, red, white, orange, and the mixtures of these 5. Why was that? The other 6 books were not deep enough for the Buddha's super wisdom. When he was contemplating on these 6 books, it was like a horse put in a small tank. He could barely move in the tank. But when coming to the 7th book, the subject matter was measureless. Measureless, and his wisdom was measureless. His wisdom could go as far as the subject matter went, and the subject matter could go as far as his wisdom could go. When he reached the 7th book, he was like that horse put in the ocean. He could move about very easily, and so he became very glad. When a mind becomes glad, it affects the physical parts of the body. So the rays come out of his body. Bhatana is the most profound of the 7 books and also the largest. These are the 7 books of Abhidhamma, but we are not going to study these 7 books. What we are going to study is just an approach to these books. So you have to go a long way. The commentaries, sub-commentaries, and sub-commentaries. Then we have the commentaries. These Abhidhamma books, as they are, cannot be understood very well. So we need somebody to explain and to ask about the things taught in these books. Therefore, we need the commentaries. There are commentaries by the Venerable Buddhaghosa. The Venerable Buddhaghosa was a very famous and celebrated commentator who lived in the 5th century AD. What he wrote was not all his own. He was like an editor. He compiled those teachings that were recited and taught before him, and he put them into one continuous book. What he wrote or what are contained in his commentary could go back when to the time of the Buddha, because these explanations were handed down from teacher to pupil. Teacher to pupil, some explanations given in his commentaries may be those given by the Buddha himself. Therefore, we have great respect for his commentaries. Venerable Buddhaghosa wrote the commentaries. They are Attasalini, Samoha Vinodani, and Panchapakarana Atthakatha. Panchapakarana Atthakatha. Those 3 are the commentaries on the 7 books of Abhidhamma. Sometimes we find it difficult even to understand the commentaries. We need some other books to explain those commentaries. So we have what are called sub-commentaries that are called Muladika. The sub-commentaries are written by Anandathera. We don't know the exact age of these authors, so all the age are approximate, say 5th century AD, and circa 11th century AD. Sub-commentaries that are called Anudika are written by Dhammapala. We don't know exactly when he lived, but he is definitely later than the Venerable Buddhaghosa. Then there are treatises on Abhidhamma by another monk named Buddhadatta Thera. Buddhadatta Thera, he was a contemporary of the Venerable Buddhaghosa Thera himself. He wrote some condensations of Abhidhamma. Then there are treatises by many other monks. Among them, the Abhidhamma Sangaha is the best or the most popular. We will be using the Abhidhamma Sangaha for our courses.